3 in the morning, and I'm standing in my kitchen like some insomniac ghost, wrestling with a coffee maker that's older than my marriage. The thing wheezes and gurgles like it's on life support, but it still makes better coffee than the fancy machine Marta bought last month, the one she claimed was for entertaining clients. That should have been my first clue. The front door opens with the careful precision of someone trying not to wake the house. Marta thinks I'm asleep, of course. She always thinks I'm asleep when she comes home from her late meetings at T-Bold Advertising. I hear her heels click across the hardwood, then stop. The soft glow of a phone screen illuminates the hallway. "Hey, my king," she whispers into the device, and my world tilts sideways. I freeze, coffee mug halfway to my lips, as my wife of 23 years purrs into what I now realize is her second phone. The conversation is brief but devastating. Sweet nothings that should have been mine, plans for tomorrow's lunch meeting, and a breathy goodbye that makes my stomach turn. My king, not her husband, not Miles, her king. When she finally creeps upstairs, I'm still standing there like a statue, watching steam rise from my untouched coffee. The kitchen feels different now, foreign, like I'm seeing it through someone else's eyes. The granite countertops Marta insisted we needed, the stainless steel appliances that cost more than my first car, the wine rack filled with bottles I can't pronounce. All of it suddenly looks like evidence of a life I didn't recognize. I should have seen it coming. The signs were there, scattered like breadcrumbs through the past 6 months. The new wardrobe that made her look 10 years younger. The sudden interest in yoga and spin classes. The way she'd light up when her phone buzzed, then quickly flip it face down when I walked into the room. But I'd been too trusting, too comfortable, too stupid. Miles Barrett, 49 years old, senior analyst at Hartwell Financial, devoted father and faithful husband. The kind of guy who still opened car doors and remembered anniversaries. The kind of guy who apparently made it easy for his wife to find someone more exciting. I pour the coffee down the drain and head to my home office. If Marta has secrets, I'm going to find them. The computer reveals nothing. She's too smart for that. But her purse, left carelessly on the kitchen counter, tells a different story. Receipts from restaurants I've never been to. A hotel key card from the Grandview, the fancy place downtown where executives take their mistresses, and tucked behind her credit cards, a second phone. My hands shake as I power it on. No password protection. She really did think I was an idiot. The messages hit me like physical blows, months of them, photos I won't describe, plans for weekend getaways to Mills Lake, where the city's elite keep their summer homes. And through it all, Jake Turnbull's name, over and over again. Jake Turnbull, Marta's boss, the man I'd met at company parties, who'd shaken my hand while looking over my shoulder for someone more important. The man who'd complimented our house while probably planning to steal my wife. I sit in the dark for hours, scrolling through evidence of my marriage's destruction. By dawn, I've made a decision. If Marta wants to play games, I'll teach her the rules. But first, I need to know my enemy. Jake Turnbull lives in Beacon Hills, the gated community where successful people go to feel superior to the rest of us. His house is a monument to ego, all glass and sharp angles like something from a magazine. His car is a Tesla Model S, black as his soul and twice as expensive as my annual salary. I follow him to work that morning, staying 3 cars back like they do in movies. He drives like he owns the road, cutting off smaller cars and running yellow lights. At T-Bold's downtown office, he parks in the executive section and strides through the lobby like he's conquering territory. This is the man my wife chose over me. This is her king. The irony isn't lost on me. I used to box in college. Nothing professional, just enough to know how to hurt someone if I needed to. Jake looks like he's never thrown a punch in his life. But apparently he throws other things better than I do. Money, power, promises he can't keep. That evening, I'm waiting when Marta comes home. She's glowing, practically floating through the door with a smile that used to be mine. "Good day at work?" I ask, not looking up from my newspaper. Oh, same old corporate grind. She kisses my forehead like she's blessing a child. Jake had us working late on the Morrison account. The lie comes so easily, it's almost artistic. I wonder how many times she's practiced it, how many variations she's prepared for different scenarios. Jake seems like a demanding boss, I say carefully. He expects excellence, but he's fair about it. Another lie, delivered with the confidence of someone who thinks she's smarter than everyone around her. I nod and fold my newspaper. I'm sure he appreciates your dedication. She beams at that, completely missing the edge in my voice. 23 years of marriage, and she can't even tell when I'm angry anymore. That might be the most insulting part of all. The next morning, I call in sick to work. Instead, I drive to T-Bold's office building and wait. At 11:30, Marta and Jake emerge together, walking just close enough to suggest intimacy without crossing professional lines. They're good at this, too good. This isn't their first affair, it's just their first time getting caught. They drive to the Grandview Hotel in separate cars, meeting in the lobby with the casual ease of routine. I give them 20 minutes, then follow. The hotel bar is dimly lit, all leather and mahogany, designed to make rich people feel sophisticated. Jake has claimed a corner booth where they can whisper without being overheard. Marta's laugh carries across the room, bright and genuine in a way I haven't heard in years. I order a whiskey and watch my wife fall in love with someone else. They don't notice me. Why would they? I'm just another middle-aged guy in a cheap suit, invisible to people who matter. But invisible has advantages. Invisible can listen. Invisible can plan. The Morrison presentation went perfectly, Jake says, his hand covering Marta's on the table. You were brilliant up there. I learned from the best, she replies, and the worship in her voice makes me want to break something. They talk business for a while, but underneath the professional language flows a current of intimacy that makes my chest tight. This isn't just about the thrill of an affair. They actually care about each other. Somehow that makes it worse. When they finally leave, separately, maintaining their careful charade, I follow Jake to the parking garage. His Tesla gleams under the fluorescent lights, a symbol of everything he has that I don't. I've never vandalized anything in my life. I pay my taxes, hold doors for strangers, and return shopping carts to their proper places. But standing in that garage, watching Jake's taillights disappear into traffic, something fundamental shifts inside me. The tire iron from my trunk feels heavy in my hands. Each strike against his perfect paint job releases a little more of the rage that's been building since 3 a.m. By the time I'm finished, Jake's car looks like it went 10 rounds with a heavyweight champion. I leave a note under his windshield wiper. You parked in the wrong spot. The security camera in the corner captures everything, its red light blinking like an accusation. I wave at it before I leave. If Jake wants to play games, he should know who he's playing with. That night, Marta comes home earlier than usual, her face tight with concern. Everything okay at work? I ask, pouring myself a drink. Someone vandalized Jake's car in the hotel garage. Can you believe that? What kind of person does something so petty? I meet her eyes over my whiskey glass. Probably someone who felt wronged. People do crazy things when they're pushed too far. She stares at me for a long moment, and I see the exact second she begins to suspect. But suspicion isn't proof, and Marta's too smart to make accusations she can't support. I suppose they do, she says finally. The next morning, my phone rings at 7 a.m., unknown number. Mr. Barrett, this is Detective Collins with the Metro Police. We'd like to ask you a few questions about an incident at the Grandview Hotel. And just like that, the game begins. Detective Collins turns out to be a tired-looking woman in her 50s who's seen enough domestic drama to recognize it from space. We meet at a diner downtown, away from my neighborhood where Marta's friends might spot us. Hotel security footage shows you in the garage around the time Mr. Turnbull's vehicle was damaged, she says, stirring sugar into coffee that already looks dangerously sweet. I was having a drink at the bar, Sometimes a man needs to get out of the house, you know? And the garage? I parked there. Last I checked, that wasn't illegal. She slides a photo across the table, me, clear as day, holding a tire iron like I'm conducting an orchestra of destruction. Care to explain this? I study the image with the detached interest of someone examining evidence against a stranger. Looks like someone having a bad day. Did Mr. Turnbull mention why someone might target his car specifically? Detective Collins leans back in her booth, and I see the exact moment she decides I'm not worth the paperwork. Mr. Barrett, I've been doing this for 26 years. I know a domestic situation when I see one. Whatever's happening between you and your wife and her boss, keep it legal. Property damage is still a crime, even when your feelings are hurt. I appreciate the advice, Detective, but I think you've got the wrong guy. She leaves money for her coffee and stands. Mr. Turnbull decided not to press charges. Apparently his insurance will cover the damage, but if anything else happens to his property, anything at all, we'll be having a different conversation. After she leaves, I sit in the diner for another hour, watching traffic crawl past the windows. The morning rush hour looks different when you're unemployed, because that's what I am now. Marta called while I was talking to the police. HR wants to see me first thing Monday morning. Apparently, someone reported my erratic behavior and potential workplace violence. Jake works fast, I'll give him that, but I work smarter. Monday morning finds me in Hartwell Financial's sterile conference room, facing 3 people who've already decided my fate. My supervisor, Janet, looks genuinely sorry. The HR director, Peterson, keeps checking his watch like he's got somewhere more important to be. And the company lawyer, whose name I don't catch, takes notes on everything I say. We're placing you on administrative leave pending a psychological evaluation, Peterson announces, sliding papers across the table. It's standard procedure when there are concerns about employee stability. What concerns, specifically? The police contacted us about an incident involving your wife's supervisor. There are also reports that you've been making inappropriate comments about your marriage during work hours. I almost laugh. Jake's reach extends further than I thought. He's not just stealing my wife. He's dismantling my entire life, piece by piece. I see. And if I refuse the evaluation? Then your employment here would be terminated immediately. The papers are thick with legal language, but the message is simple. Submit to their psychological prodding or lose my job. It's a masterful move, really. Jake gets rid of the inconvenient husband without getting his hands dirty. I sign the documents with a flourish. When do I start seeing the company shrink? Dr. Matthews can see you Thursday at 2 p.m. Thursday. That gives me 3 days to prepare. I'm walking to my car when a voice stops me in the parking lot. Mr. Barrett? I turn to find a woman I recognize but can't immediately place. Tall, elegant, with silver hair and the kind of bone structure that suggests good breeding and better genetics. She's wearing a black coat that probably costs more than my monthly mortgage payment. I'm Vivian Castellan, she says, extending a manicured hand. Richard's wife. Richard. It takes me a moment to connect the name to the face. Jake's real name is Richard Castellan. Marta always called him Jake. Apparently, that was part of their intimate little world. Mrs. Castellan. I shake her hand, noting the strength in her grip. I'm sorry, but I don't think we've been properly introduced. We haven't, but I know who you are. Her smile is sharp enough to cut glass. Your wife stole my husband. Forget her. I'll take you. The words hang in the air between us like a challenge. Around us, the parking lot continues its mundane business. People getting into cars, checking phones, living normal lives where wives don't proposition their husband's rival in broad daylight. That's quite an offer, I manage. It's quite a situation. She steps closer, and I catch a hint of expensive perfume. Richard thinks he's clever, carrying on with your wife like some middle-aged Romeo, but he's not as discreet as he believes. And you're proposing what, exactly? Mutual satisfaction. They've had their fun. Why shouldn't we? I look at Vivian Castellan, really look at her. She's beautiful in the way that money can make someone beautiful. All careful maintenance and professional styling. But there's something else there. Something harder. She's not a victim seeking comfort. She's a predator who's found her hunting partner. Your husband might not appreciate that. My husband lost the right to appreciate anything when he started appreciating your wife. She pulls a card from her purse and presses it into my hand. Think about it, Miles. They took something from both of us. Maybe it's time we took something back. She walks away before I can respond, her heels clicking against the asphalt with military precision. The card in my hand is heavy stock, cream-colored, with only a phone number printed in elegant script. I drive home in a daze, Vivian's proposition echoing in my head. The house feels different when I walk in, smaller, shabbier, like I'm seeing it through her eyes. The furniture Marta and I picked out together suddenly looks tired and outdated. The family photos on the mantel seem like evidence of a life that no longer exists. Marta won't be home for hours. She's working late again, which means she's probably in Richard's bed right now, doing things she stopped doing with me years ago. I pour myself 3 fingers of bourbon and call the number on Vivian's card. I was wondering when you'd call, she says without preamble. Where do you want to meet? My place. Richard's at the office until 8, planning his next romantic gesture for your wife. The Castellan house makes my neighborhood look like a trailer park. It's one of those modern monstrosities that screams money, all glass and steel and architectural ego. The driveway could hold 6 cars. The lawn looks like it was trimmed with nail scissors. Vivian answers the door in a silk blouse and dark jeans that probably cost more than my car payment. She leads me through rooms that look like they belong in a museum, all clean lines and expensive art. Drink? She asks, moving to a bar that's better stocked than most restaurants. Whatever you're having. She pours 2 glasses of something amber and hands me one. To new partnerships. We drink, studying each other like chess players planning their opening moves. The alcohol burns, but it's good burn, the kind that comes from bottles with labels I can't read. How long have you known? I ask. About Richard and your wife. 3 months. How long have you known? 3 days. She laughs, and there's no humor in it. You're behind the curve, Miles. They've been planning this for a while. Richard thinks he's going to leave me for her. Is he? Over my cold, lifeless body. She takes another sip, her eyes never leaving mine. I built this life, Miles. I put Richard through business school. I networked him into every important connection he has. I made him into the man your wife thinks she loves. So why not just divorce him? Because divorce means splitting assets. This way, when I'm done with him, he'll have nothing left to split. The calculation in her voice is breathtaking. Vivian isn't heartbroken, she's furious, and fury, properly channeled, can accomplish remarkable things. What did you have in mind? Instead of answering, she sets down her glass and moves closer. Her hand touches my cheek, and I realize this isn't just about revenge. Vivian is genuinely attracted to the idea of me. The wronged husband, the underdog, the man her husband thinks he can dismiss. They think we're pathetic, she says softly. The abandoned spouses too old and boring to compete with their grand passion. What if we showed them how wrong they are? Her lips taste like expensive whiskey and dangerous possibilities. When we finally break apart, she's smiling like she's just won something important. Richard's working late tonight, she whispers against my ear. He won't be home until after midnight. What happens next isn't love. It's not even really about desire, though Vivian is undeniably attractive. It's about power, taking back something that was stolen, claiming territory that was supposed to be forbidden. Afterward, we lie in her ridiculously expensive bed, planning our next move like generals plotting a campaign. The Morrison account presentation is tomorrow, she says, tracing patterns on my chest with one finger. Richard's been working on it for months. It's supposed to be his big moment, the deal that makes him a senior partner. And what if something went wrong? What if the presentation was compromised? I think about this. You want me to sabotage his work? I want you to remind him that actions have consequences. She sits up, her hair falling across her shoulders like a silver curtain. Richard thinks he's untouchable because he's successful. But success is fragile, Miles. It only takes one mistake to bring it all down. The plan she outlines is elegant in its simplicity. Richard keeps his presentation files on a shared server that Vivian has access to, one of the perks of being married to someone who trusts you completely. A few strategic deletions, some corrupted files, and Jake's big moment becomes his biggest humiliation. What about Marta? I ask. What about her? She's part of his team. If the presentation fails, she gets hurt too. Vivian's smile could freeze flame. Good. Maybe she'll learn that sleeping with other people's husbands has consequences. I drive home at midnight, my head spinning with possibilities. The house is dark. Marta's still working late. I pour another drink and sit in my office, staring at the family photos on my desk. Our wedding day, vacations with the kids, Christmas mornings that seem like they happened to someone else. 23 years. 2 children. A mortgage, joint bank accounts, shared dreams that apparently weren't as shared as I thought. My phone buzzes. A text from Marta. Don't wait up. Big day tomorrow. I delete the message without responding. Tomorrow is going to be bigger than she thinks. The Morrison presentation is scheduled for 10 a.m. in T-Bold's main conference room. I position myself across the street in a coffee shop with floor-to-ceiling windows, armed with binoculars and a front-row seat to Jake's downfall. At 9:30, I see him stride into the building, confident and commanding. At 9:45, Marta follows, looking professional and polished in a way that makes my chest ache. At 10:15, Jake comes flying out of the building like he's been shot from a cannon, his face red with rage and humiliation. Marta trails behind him, her professional composure cracking. My phone rings. It worked perfectly, Vivian says, and I can hear the satisfaction in her voice. Richard just called me, screaming about technical difficulties and corrupted files. Apparently the Morrison people walked out after 15 minutes. And Marta? Your wife tried to salvage things, but without the presentation materials, she looked like an amateur. I hear Morrison's taking their business to Brennan and Associates. Brennan and Associates, T-Bold's biggest competitor. Losing the Morrison account won't just hurt Jake's career, it might destroy it entirely. Phase 1 complete, I say, watching Jake pace outside the building like a caged animal. Oh, Miles, Vivian purrs through the phone. We're just getting started. That evening, Marta comes home looking like she's been through a war. Her perfect hair is disheveled, her makeup smeared. She drops her purse by the door and heads straight for the wine cabinet. Rough day? I ask, not bothering to hide my amusement. The worst. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. She pours herself a generous glass of Pinot Grigio and drinks half of it in one gulp. Jake thinks someone sabotaged the presentation, but that's crazy. Who would do something like that? I can't imagine, I say, raising my own glass in a mock toast. To better days ahead. She drinks to that, completely missing the irony. As she heads upstairs to shower off her defeat, I allow myself a small smile. Jake might be Marta's king, but every king needs to learn that even pawns can topple thrones. My phone buzzes with a text from Vivian. Dinner tomorrow? I have ideas for phase 2. I text back, looking forward to it. And I am. For the first time in months, I'm looking forward to something. Dr. Matthews has the kind of office that's designed to make crazy people feel sane and sane people question their grip on reality. Soft lighting, beige everything, and a couch that probably costs more than most people's cars. She's younger than I expected, maybe 40, with kind eyes and the patient smile of someone who's heard every sob story in the book. Tell me about your marriage, Miles. Which part? The 23 years of happiness, or the part where my wife decided to upgrade to a newer model? Let's start with how you're feeling right now. Right now, I feel like a man who's been playing chess while everyone else was playing poker. Turns out I didn't even know what game we were playing. She makes notes on her tablet, probably flagging me as a potential workplace shooter or domestic violence statistic. The irony is that I've never felt calmer, focused, like I finally understand the rules. Have you considered that your wife might be going through a midlife crisis? Sometimes people make poor decisions when they're feeling uncertain about their lives. Poor decisions. I let that phrase hang in the air. Is that what we're calling adultery now? I'm not excusing her behavior. I'm suggesting that people are complex, and relationships can be repaired if both parties are willing to do the work. Dr. Matthews, let me ask you something. If someone stole your car, would you want to work things out with them, or would you want your car back? That's an interesting analogy. It's not an analogy. My wife is my car, and someone stole her. I want her back. That's not entirely true, but Dr. Matthews doesn't need to know that. The truth is more complicated. I don't want Marta back. I want Jake to lose her. I want him to understand what it feels like to have something precious ripped away. After the session, I drive to Vivian's house. She's waiting with champagne and a smile that promises trouble. How did it go with the company psychiatrist? She thinks I'm a wounded bird who needs healing. I let her think that. Smart. Richard's been asking questions about you, where you work, what kind of man you are. He's starting to see you as a threat. Good. He should. We're sitting in her living room, surrounded by the spoils of Jake's success. Everything here is a reminder of what he's built, what he stands to lose. The art on the walls, the Persian rugs, the view of the lake through windows that cost more than most people's annual salary. I have something to show you, Vivian says, producing a tablet from the side table. The screen shows security footage from T-Bold's parking garage, not the hotel, but the office building. Jake and Marta, thinking they're alone, locked in an embrace that leaves no doubt about their relationship. How did you get this? Richard's not the only one with connections. The security company that monitors T-Bold also handles several of my charity events. Amazing what people will do for a generous donation. I watch my wife kiss another man with a passion she hasn't shown me in years. It should hurt more than it does. Instead, I feel a cold satisfaction. Evidence. What are you planning to do with this? That depends. How badly do you want to hurt them? The question hangs between us like a loaded weapon. 3 days ago, I would have said I just wanted my wife back. But 3 days ago, I still believed in fair play and second chances. Now I understand that some games don't have rules. What did you have in mind? Vivian's plan is diabolical in its elegance. T-Bold's annual Client Appreciation Gala is next Friday, the biggest event of the year, where the company shows off for its most important customers. Jake will be there, playing the successful executive. Marta will be there, playing the devoted employee. And Vivian and I will be there together, playing the happy couple who've found love in the ashes of their broken marriages. You want to make our affair public? I want to make their affair public. Ours is just the delivery method. She refills our glasses, her movements precise and calculated. Richard's built his reputation on being the family man, the stable executive who can be trusted with important accounts. What happens to that reputation when everyone knows he's sleeping with a subordinate? And Marta? Your wife's career is built on being the reliable team player, the one who gets results through hard work and dedication. What happens when everyone knows she's getting results through other methods? It's beautiful, really. One evening, one public appearance, and both their professional lives implode. No violence, no illegal activity, just the truth, delivered at the worst possible moment. There's one problem, I point out. How do we get invited to their company party? Vivian's smile widens. Leave that to me. The invitation arrives Wednesday morning, embossed cardstock with gold lettering. Mr. and Mrs. Miles Barrett are cordially invited to attend T-Bold Advertising's annual Client Appreciation Gala. Black tie optional. RSVP required. Marta finds it on the kitchen counter when she comes home from another late meeting. "How did we get invited to this?" she asks, her voice carefully neutral. "Maybe someone thinks we'd enjoy it. You're always talking about these company events, but you hate corporate parties. Maybe I'm trying to be more supportive of your career." I look up from my newspaper, meeting her eyes. "Unless you'd prefer I didn't go?" "No, of course not. It's just unexpected." She's trying to calculate the angles, figure out how my presence might complicate her evening. I can practically see the gears turning behind her eyes. "Will Jake be there?" "Richard. His name is Richard." The correction comes automatically. Then she catches herself. "I mean, Mr. Castellan. Yes, he'll be there. Most of the senior staff will be." "Great. I'm looking forward to meeting him properly." That night, she makes 3 phone calls from the bathroom with the water running. I don't need to hear the conversations to know what they're about. Damage control, contingency planning, how to manage an evening where her husband and lover will be in the same room. Thursday's session with Dr. Matthews goes smoothly. I play the role of the confused, hurt husband who's trying to save his marriage. She eats it up, making notes about progress and healthy coping mechanisms. "Have you talked to your wife about couples counseling?" "She's been so busy at work lately. Maybe after this big project she's working on." "What kind of project?" "Something with her boss. They've been putting in a lot of late nights together." Dr. Matthews nods sympathetically, completely missing the subtext. Sometimes people only hear what they expect to hear. Friday evening arrives with the weight of destiny. I rent a tuxedo, nothing fancy, but respectable enough for the occasion. Marta spends 2 hours getting ready, emerging from our bedroom transformed. She's wearing a black dress I've never seen before, cut low enough to make a statement. Her hair is perfect, her makeup flawless. She looks beautiful. She looks like she's dressing for someone else. "You look stunning," I tell her, and mean it. "Thank you." She seems surprised by the compliment, like she'd forgotten I was capable of noticing her. The ride to the hotel is quiet. Marta checks her phone constantly, probably coordinating with Jake about how to handle the evening. I drive carefully, savoring the anticipation. The Grandview Hotel's ballroom is full of T-Bold's finest, executives and clients mingling over cocktails and small talk. Marta immediately disappears into the crowd, gravitating toward her colleagues like a magnet finding true north. I grab a drink from the bar and scan the room for Jake. I spot him near the windows, holding court with a group of important-looking men in expensive suits. He's animated, confident, completely in his element. He has no idea what's coming. "Miles Barrett." I turn to find a woman approaching. Tall, silver-haired, devastating in a way that makes every other woman in the room look like an amateur. Vivian Castellan, transformed by evening wear and careful lighting into something that belongs on magazine covers. "Mrs. Castellan, you look incredible." "Thank you. Shall we make an entrance?" She takes my arm, and we walk into the crowd like we own the place. Conversations stop, heads turn. I catch sight of Marta across the room, her face frozen in shock. "Is that Richard's wife?" Someone whispers. "Who's the man with her? Isn't that Marta Barrett's husband?" The whispers follow us as we move through the party. Vivian plays her part perfectly, touching my arm, laughing at my jokes, looking at me like I'm the most fascinating man in the room. Jake notices us when we're about 10 feet away. His face goes through a series of expressions, confusion, recognition, and finally rage. "Vivian," he says, his voice carefully controlled. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Surprise, darling. I thought it was time I met your colleagues properly." She squeezes my arm. "Richard, this is Miles Barrett. I believe you know his wife." The introduction hangs in the air like a challenge. Jake's eyes dart between Vivian and me, trying to calculate how much we know, how much damage we can do. Mr. Barrett, I've heard so much about you. All good things, I hope. Marta speaks of you often. I'm sure she does. I take a sip of my drink, letting the moment stretch. She speaks of you quite often, too. Jake's jaw tightens, but he can't respond without revealing too much. Around us, the party continues, but I can feel the attention focused on our little group. People sense drama the way animals sense storms. Dance with me, Miles, Vivian says suddenly. The band is playing something slow and romantic. Vivian moves into my arms like she belongs there, and we glide onto the dance floor under the crystal chandelier. Every eye in the room follows us. Look at Richard, she murmurs against my ear. Jake is standing frozen by the windows, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. Beside him, Marta has appeared, her own expression unreadable. They're talking, I observe. They're panicking. This wasn't part of their plan. The song ends, but Vivian doesn't step away. Instead, she looks up at me with eyes that could melt steel, rises on her toes, and kisses me. Not a polite social kiss, not a friendly peck. A real kiss, the kind that makes statements and starts wars. When we break apart, the ballroom has gone completely silent. Thank you for the dance, she says, loud enough for half the room to hear. Jake is already moving toward us, his face red with rage. But before he can reach us, Vivian takes my hand and leads me toward the exit. Where are we going? Somewhere private. Let them wonder what we're doing. We slip out through a side door that leads to the hotel's garden. The night air is cool against my heated skin, and I can hear the muffled sounds of the party through the windows. That was quite a performance, I say. Who says I was performing? She's standing close enough that I can see the flecks of gold in her green eyes. This woman is dangerous in ways I'm only beginning to understand. What happens now? Now we let them stew. Richard will spend the rest of the evening wondering what we're doing, who we're telling, how much his world is about to change. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, you're going to do something that will make tonight look subtle. My phone buzzes with a text from Marta. Where are you? I show the message to Vivian, who laughs. Tell her you're getting some air. I type back, getting some air, enjoying the evening. 3 dots appear immediately, then disappear. Then appear again. Finally, come back inside. She's nervous, Vivian observes. She should be. We stay in the garden for another hour, letting Marta and Jake wonder and worry. When we finally return to the ballroom, the party has shifted. People are watching us, whispering behind their hands, drawing conclusions that aren't entirely wrong. Jake corners me at the bar while Vivian powders her nose. I don't know what game you think you're playing, he says, his voice low and threatening, but you're out of your league. Am I? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I'm exactly where I need to be. Stay away from my wife. Funny. I was about to say the same thing to you. His hand clenches around his drink, and for a moment, I think he might actually throw a punch. But we're surrounded by his colleagues and clients. Any violence would destroy what's left of his professional reputation. This isn't over, he says finally. No, I agree. It's not. Marta doesn't speak to me during the drive home. She stares out the passenger window like she's trying to solve a puzzle, her fingers drumming against her purse. Did you enjoy the party? I ask as we pull into our driveway. It was fine. Vivian Castellan seems nice. Very attentive. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just an observation. She follows me into the house, her heels clicking against the hardwood like an approaching storm. Miles, what's going on? What do you mean? Don't play dumb. You show up at my company party with Richard's wife, acting like you're dating her. People are talking. Let them talk. This affects my career. The words explode out of her with more force than she intended. We stand in our living room, facing each other across 23 years of marriage, and I see her clearly for the first time in months. Your career, I repeat slowly. The one where you work late every night with your boss. The one that's suddenly so important you don't have time for your husband anymore. It's not like that. What's it like, Marta? She opens her mouth to answer, then closes it. We both know she can't explain without lying, and we both know I'll catch the lie. I'm going to bed, she says finally. Give my regards to Jake when you text him tonight. She freezes halfway up the stairs. What? Nothing. Sleep well. But she won't sleep well. None of them will. My phone buzzes with a message from Vivian. Phase 2 starts tomorrow. Meet me at the gym on 5th Street at noon. I've never been to the gym on 5th Street, but I know the type. The kind of place where serious people go to hit things legally. When I arrive, Vivian is already there, dressed in workout clothes that probably cost more than my monthly grocery budget. You box, she says. It's not a question. Used to. College. Good, you're going to need those skills. She leads me through the gym to where a woman in her 30s is working a heavy bag with the kind of precision that comes from years of practice. Her movements are fluid, economical, devastating. Miles, meet Louise Vega. She manages this place. Louise stops punching long enough to shake my hand. Her grip could crush walnuts. Vivian tells me you're having some trouble with a workplace bully, she says. Something like that. Well, you've come to the right place. Nothing builds confidence like knowing you can handle yourself in a confrontation. For the next hour, Louise puts me through paces I haven't attempted in 20 years. My body remembers more than my mind expected. The footwork, the combinations, the rhythm of offense and defense. Not bad for an old guy, Louise says as I work the heavy bag. You've got good form, natural power. Thanks, I think. Richard Castellan ever been in a real fight? Vivian asks, toweling off from her own workout. Doubt it. Why? Just curious about what kind of man steals another man's wife. Louise grins. The kind who's never had his nose rearranged. Those types always think they're tougher than they are. After the workout, Vivian and I grab coffee at a place near the gym. She's glowing with post-exercise endorphins and pre-revenge anticipation. The Morrison account disaster has Richard on edge, she reports. He's been making calls all weekend trying to salvage the situation. Apparently the company's considering a partnership with Brennan and Associates instead. That's got to hurt. It gets better. The senior partners are questioning his judgment. There's talk about restructuring his department. And Marta, your wife is trying to distance herself from the failure. She's been telling people that the technical problems weren't her fault, that she was just following Richard's lead. The coffee tastes bitter, but I drink it anyway. Loyalty among thieves. There's more. Richard's been drinking. A lot. Yesterday he showed up to a client meeting obviously hungover. Today, he called in sick. The pressure's getting to him. The pressure's just getting started. Vivian leans across the table, her eyes bright with anticipation. Tonight, Richard has dinner with the Morrison people. One last attempt to save the account. He's meeting them at Chez Laurent, that French place downtown. And you're going to be there too, with me, having our own romantic dinner at the table right next to theirs. The audacity of it takes my breath away. That's playing with fire. Fire's only dangerous if you don't control it. Chez Laurent is the kind of restaurant where important people go to make important deals. The lighting is dim, the prices are ridiculous, and the waiters treat every customer like visiting royalty. Vivian has reserved a table with perfect sightlines to where Jake will be conducting his damage control. We arrive first, settling into our seats just as Jake enters with 3 people I don't recognize. The Morrison team, probably. He looks haggard, older than his years, like a man who's been running from something and can't catch his breath. Right on time, Vivian murmurs, raising her wine glass. Jake doesn't notice us immediately. He's too focused on his dinner companions, working hard to charm people who clearly don't want to be charmed. His laugh is too loud, his gestures too broad. Desperation has a smell, and it's wafting across the restaurant. This is painful to watch, I observe. It's about to get worse. Vivian signals the waiter, who approaches with the deference reserved for regular customers who tip well. "Could you send a bottle of your best champagne to table 7? She asks sweetly. "With our compliments." "Certainly, Mrs. Castellan. Any message?" "Tell them it's from Mr. and Mrs. Barrett. We're celebrating new beginnings." The waiter nods and glides away. Jake still hasn't seen us, but that's about to change. The champagne arrives with ceremony, ice bucket, crystal glasses, the whole production. Jake looks confused as the waiter explains the gift, then follows the man's gesture toward our table. His face goes white when he sees us. Vivian raises her glass in a toast, her smile radiant. I follow suit, meeting Jake's stare with a calm I don't entirely feel. "To new partnerships," Vivian says, loud enough to carry. Jake excuses himself from his table and approaches us, his face a mask of barely controlled fury. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Having dinner with my friend," I reply calmly. "Beautiful place, great atmosphere." This is harassment. "This is a public restaurant. We have as much right to be here as you do." One of the Morrison people is watching our interaction with interest. Jake realizes that any scene he makes will only reinforce his image as someone who's lost control. "Enjoy your meal," he says through gritted teeth, and returns to his table. But the damage is done. The Morrison team keeps glancing our way, clearly wondering about the relationship dynamics they've stumbled into. Jake's already difficult evening has become impossible. 20 minutes later, the Morrison people make their excuses and leave. Jake sits alone at his table, staring at his untouched entree like it holds the answers to all his problems. "Should we go console him?" Vivian asks innocently. "I think he needs some time alone with his thoughts." We finish our dinner slowly, savoring both the food and Jake's obvious distress. When we finally leave, he's still sitting there, a broken man in an expensive suit. "Phase 2 complete," Vivian says as we walk to our cars. "What's Phase 3? "Phase 3 is when you tell Richard exactly what you think of him, in public, where it counts." She kisses me goodnight, another real kiss, the kind that makes statements, and drives away in her silver Mercedes. I watch her taillights disappear into traffic, then sit in my own car for a long moment, processing what I've become. 3 weeks ago, I was a faithful husband trying to save his marriage. Tonight, I'm a man plotting the destruction of everyone who wronged me. The transformation should disturb me more than it does. When I get home, Marta is waiting in the living room, still in her dress, but with her makeup smeared and her hair disheveled. "We need to talk," she says. "Do we?" "Miles, I know how this looks, but..." "How does it look, Marta?" "Like you're having an affair with Richard's wife." I pour myself a drink and settle into my chair, studying my wife like she's a specimen in a laboratory. "And if I am?" "Then you're destroying both our lives for no reason." "No reason." I taste the words like wine. "That's interesting. You think I need a reason to move on with my life?" "That's not what this is. You're doing this to hurt me." "Why would I want to hurt you, Marta? You're my wife. We took vows." The words hit her like slaps. She knows I know. The only question is how much. "Miles, please, let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been working late every night for the past 6 months? How you suddenly need a second phone for work? How you've been taking business trips to places that don't have T-bold clients?" Each question lands with surgical precision. Marta's face crumbles as she realizes her careful deceptions have been unraveling while she wasn't looking. "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. The only question is what we do about it." "What do you want?" The question hangs between us like a bridge I can either cross or burn. 3 weeks ago, I would have said I wanted my wife back, my marriage restored, my life returned to its comfortable routine. But that was before I understood the game we were really playing. I want you to be happy, Marta. I want you to have everything you deserve. She looks confused by my answer, like she was expecting threats or ultimatums. What does that mean? It means we'll talk more tomorrow, after you've had time to think about what you really want. I finish my drink and head upstairs, leaving her alone with her thoughts and her guilt. Tomorrow, the real game begins. Saturday morning brings rain and revelation. I wake to find Marta's side of the bed empty and cold. She spent the night in the guest room, probably rehearsing explanations that might salvage the unsalvageable. My phone shows 3 missed calls from Vivian and a text. Emergency meeting, coffee shop on Elm, 9 a.m. The coffee shop is one of those deliberately shabby places where hipsters go to feel authentic. Vivian looks out of place among the pierced baristas and laptop philosophers, but she's chosen the location for its anonymity. Richard knows, she says without preamble. Knows what? About us, about the presentation sabotage, about everything. I sip my coffee, which tastes like it was brewed in a gym sock, and wait for details. He confronted me this morning. Apparently he's been having me followed. By who? Some private investigator. The man has photos of us together, recordings of our phone conversations, even hotel receipts from places we've never been. Hotel receipts? Richard's been setting up fake evidence, making it look like we've been having an affair for months, since before we knew about him and your wife. The implications hit me like a freight train. Jake isn't just defending his territory, he's going on offense, building a case that makes us look like the aggressors. What kind of evidence? Vivian slides a manila envelope across the table. Inside are photographs that could end my marriage and destroy my reputation. Me entering Vivian's house. Us kissing in her garden. Images taken with telephoto lenses that make innocent encounters look sordid. He's planning to show these to your wife. When? Today. He's already scheduled a meeting with Marta for this afternoon. I study the photos more carefully. They're good. Professional quality, perfectly timed to capture maximum damage. But they're also fake in crucial ways. The timestamps show dates when I was at work, provable through security footage and witness statements. Jake made a mistake, I realize. What kind of mistake? These photos are dated last month, but I can prove I was somewhere else. He got sloppy with his fabrication. Vivian's eyes light up with understanding. So, when he shows them to your wife, she'll know he's lying. And if he's lying about this, what else is he lying about? But that still leaves us with a problem. Richard's not going to stop here. He's going to keep escalating until one of us breaks. Then we escalate first. The plan we develop over the next hour is riskier than anything we've attempted before. But Jake has forced our hand. If he wants to play dirty, we'll show him what dirty really looks like. The company picnic is next weekend, Vivian explains. Annual tradition. All the employees and their families, plus major clients, very public, very visible. And Richard always gives a speech, something inspirational about teamwork and company values. What if this year's speech included some unexpected revelations? What kind of revelations? She produces another envelope, this one thick with documents. Richard's been cooking the books. Nothing illegal, he's too smart for that. But he's been inflating his department's performance numbers, taking credit for other people's work, and generally building his reputation on lies. How did you get these? I've been married to him for 15 years. I know where he keeps his real files. The documents tell a story of systematic deception. Projects Jake claimed to have managed were actually handled by subordinates. Clients he supposedly landed were inherited from previous account managers. Even his famous Morrison presentation was largely Marta's work, repackaged with his name on it. This destroys him, I say, flipping through the pages. Completely. But it also destroys your wife. She's been complicit in most of this, helping him take credit for other people's achievements. Good. The word comes out harder than I intended, surprising us both. Vivian studies my face like she's seeing me clearly for the first time. You really have changed, haven't you? People adapt. Darwin's law. What about your children? This will hurt them too. I think about Amelia and Ross, both away at college, both still believing their parents have a happy marriage. They'll be home for the picnic, expecting to see their family intact. They'll survive. Kids are resilient. And if they hate you for it, then they'll understand what betrayal feels like. It's a valuable lesson. Vivian reaches across the table and touches my hand. You're becoming someone I don't recognize. Good. The old me was weak. The old me got walked on. That afternoon, I'm working in my garden when Jake's BMW pulls into my driveway. He gets out slowly, like a gunfighter approaching a showdown, and walks across my lawn with the measured pace of a man who's made a decision. Barrett. Castellan. I don't stop weeding. Nice car. New? We need to talk. I'm listening. This ends now. Whatever you think you're accomplishing with my wife, it stops today. I sit back on my heels and look up at him. He's trying to project authority, but there's something desperate in his eyes. I'm not sure what you mean. Don't insult my intelligence. You're using Vivian to get back at me for something you think I did. Think you did? I stand up, brushing dirt from my hands. Jake, I don't think anything. I know exactly what you did. Prove it. I don't need to prove it. You know it, I know it, and soon everyone else will know it too. His face flushes red. You're playing a dangerous game. No, Jake, you played a dangerous game. You just didn't realize there were other players. Stay away from my wife. Make me. For a moment, I think he might actually try. His hands clench into fists, and he takes a step forward. But Jake's never been in a real fight, and something in my posture warns him that I have. This isn't over, he says, backing down. You keep saying that, but you never do anything about it. He drives away, spinning his tires like a teenager having a tantrum. I go back to my gardening, humming under my breath. That evening, Marta comes home with red eyes and a story about Jake's concerns regarding my behavior. He showed me some photos, she says carefully. What kind of photos? Pictures of you with his wife, at restaurants, at her house. And he thinks you're having an affair. I set down my newspaper and give her my full attention. What do you think? I think the photos could be misinterpreted. Could be? Miles, are you sleeping with Vivian Castellan? The question hangs in the air like smoke. I could lie, preserve some illusion of moral high ground. But lies are Jake's weapon, not mine. Are you sleeping with her husband? That's different. How? Because it just is. No, Marta, it's exactly the same. The only difference is that I'm better at it than you are. She stares at me like I've grown a second head. In 23 years of marriage, I've never spoken to her this way, direct, unflinching, unafraid of consequences. Who are you? I'm the man you married. I'm just not the man you thought you could ignore. Miles, please, we can fix this. We can go to counseling, work things out. Can we? Because it seems to me like you've already made your choice. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. You chose Jake over me. Now I'm choosing Vivian over you. But I love you. The words should mean something. 3 weeks ago, they would have meant everything. But now they sound hollow, like dialogue from a play she's forgotten how to perform. No, you don't. You love the idea of me, the safety, the stability, the backup plan, but you don't love me. That's not true. Then prove it. Choose me, right now. Tell Jake it's over, quit T-Bold, and let's rebuild our marriage. She opens her mouth to agree, then stops. The silence stretches between us, growing heavier with each passing second. I can't, she whispers finally. Then we have nothing left to discuss. I leave her standing in our living room and drive to Vivian's house. She answers the door in a silk robe, her hair loose around her shoulders. "You look like a man who's had a difficult conversation," she observes. "The most honest conversation of my marriage." And my marriage is over, officially. She steps aside to let me in, and I notice that the house feels different tonight. Warmer, more welcoming, like a place where I might actually belong. "Richard tried to show me those fake photos," she says, leading me to the living room. "I told him I was disappointed in his Photoshop skills." "He didn't believe you?" "He believes what he needs to believe. That we're the villains, that he's the victim, that somehow this is all our fault." "Isn't it? Does it matter?" She's right. Moral high ground is a luxury I can't afford anymore. Jake and Marta started this war when they decided their happiness was worth more than their marriages. Now they get to live with the consequences. "The picnic is tomorrow," Vivian reminds me. "Are you ready?" "Are you?" I think about Marta, probably crying in our guest room. I think about Jake, probably drinking himself to sleep in his expensive house. I think about the life I'm about to destroy and the man I'm about to become. "Yes," I say. "I'm ready." Vivian's smile could power a small city. "Then let's give them a picnic they'll never forget." T-Bold's annual company picnic takes place at Mills Lake Park, where the city's elite pretend to enjoy outdoor activities they'd normally pay other people to do for them. The setting is perfect for what we have planned, public enough to ensure maximum exposure, casual enough that confrontations will seem spontaneous rather than orchestrated. I arrive alone, having told Marta I'd meet her there. She's been avoiding me since our conversation last night, communicating through terse text messages that feel like diplomatic cables between hostile nations. The park is already crowded when I arrive. Families spread across picnic tables, children running through sprinklers, the smell of barbecue smoke mixing with expensive cologne. It looks like a Norman Rockwell painting, if Norman Rockwell had painted corporate politics and adultery. I spot Marta immediately. She's standing with a group of T-Bold employees near the volleyball net, laughing at something Jake is saying. They're maintaining careful distance, professional colleagues enjoying a company event, but I can see the tension in their body language, the way they're hyper-aware of each other's presence. Miles Barrett. I turn to find a mountain of a man approaching, 6'4", shoulders like a linebacker, with the kind of presence that makes people step aside without thinking about it. "Big Mike," he introduces himself, extending a hand that could palm a basketball. "I work security for the park. Vivian Castellan asked me to keep an eye on things today." "What kind of things?" "The kind that might require professional intervention." His grin is surprisingly gentle for such an intimidating man. "Don't worry. I'm just here to make sure everyone plays nice. And if they don't, then I help them remember their manners." Mike melts back into the crowd, but I can feel his presence like a guardian angel with anger management issues. Vivian has thought of everything. Speaking of Vivian, she makes her entrance at noon like a queen arriving at court. She's dressed casually, designer jeans and a silk blouse, but she radiates the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're the most dangerous person in any room. "Beautiful day for a picnic," she says, appearing at my elbow. "Perfect weather for outdoor activities. I brought potato salad, family recipe. I'm sure everyone will enjoy it." We're speaking in code, but the meaning is clear. The potato salad container holds copies of Jake's falsified reports, ready for distribution to T-Bold's senior partners and major clients. "When?" I ask. "During Richard's speech. He always talks about integrity and teamwork. It seems appropriate." Jake's speech is scheduled for 2 p.m., right after lunch and before the afternoon activities. By tradition, he'll stand on the small stage near the lake and address the crowd about company values and shared success. This year's speech will be memorable for different reasons. "There's something else," Vivian says quietly. Your wife tried to call me this morning. What did she want? To warn me about you. Apparently, you're dangerous and unstable, and I should be careful about getting involved with someone so clearly unhinged. How thoughtful of her. I told her I appreciated her concern, but I'm perfectly capable of handling dangerous men. And what did she say to that? She hung up. At 1:30, the crowd begins gathering near the stage. Jake looks nervous as he reviews his notes, probably wondering if we're planning some kind of disruption. He's not wrong, but he's not prepared for what's actually coming. Marta stands with the other employees, her face carefully neutral. She's spotted Vivian and me together, but she's maintaining professional composure. For now. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake begins, his voice carrying across the park through the portable sound system. Thank you all for joining us for T-Bold's annual celebration of community and partnership. Standard corporate speak, delivered with practiced sincerity. The crowd listens politely, parents shushing children, employees checking their phones. This year has been one of tremendous growth and achievement, Jake continues. We've landed major new accounts, expanded our services, and strengthened our reputation as the premier advertising agency in the region. He's building towards something, the crescendo where he takes credit for everything good that's happened to T-Bold in the past 12 months. None of this would be possible without the dedication and hard work of our exceptional team. People like Marta Barrett, whose innovative thinking and tireless effort have been instrumental in our recent successes. Marta blushes as heads turn toward her. She's been set up as Jake's supporting evidence, the loyal employee who makes his leadership look effective. But success isn't just about individual achievement, Jake continues. It's about integrity, trust, and the values that bind us together as a company family. That's my cue. I stand up from my picnic table, potato salad container in hand, and begin walking toward the stage. Conversations stop as people notice the movement, the disruption of their comfortable routine. Mr. Castellan, I call out, my voice carrying across the suddenly quiet park. Could I have a word? Jake's face goes pale, but he can't refuse without looking petty. Of course, Mr. Barrett. What can I do for you? I climb the steps to the stage, feeling 200 pairs of eyes tracking my movement. The microphone is live, which means everyone will hear what comes next. I just wanted to thank you publicly for everything you've done for my wife. Jake's smile freezes on his face. I'm sorry? Marta's told me so much about your mentorship, the late nights you've spent together working on her development, the personal attention you've given her career. The crowd is completely silent now, sensing undercurrents they don't fully understand. Jake's eyes dart toward Marta, who looks like she's about to be sick. Mr. Barrett, perhaps we could discuss this privately. Oh, but this is a celebration of company values, integrity, trust, the things that bind us together. I open the potato salad container and begin distributing documents to the crowd. Speaking of integrity, I thought everyone might be interested in seeing some of Mr. Castellan's recent work. What are you doing? Jake's voice has risen an octave. Sharing information. Isn't that what good partners do? The documents circulate through the crowd like wildfire. Financial reports with altered numbers, project summaries with names changed, email threads showing Jake taking credit for other people's ideas. These are confidential company documents, Jake says desperately. You have no right. Actually, my wife brought these home. She's been helping you with your creative accounting, haven't you, darling? All eyes turn to Marta, who looks like she wants to disappear into the ground. Her mouth opens and closes soundlessly, a fish gasping for water. That's enough, Jake snaps, reaching for the microphone. You're right, it is enough. I step back from the microphone but don't leave the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the real Richard Castellan. Not the successful executive he plays at work, but the man who steals other people's wives and takes credit for other people's achievements. The crowd erupts, voices raised in shock, anger, confusion. T-bold employees looking at each other with dawning realization, clients backing away from the stage like they've been contaminated. Jake lunges for me, but Big Mike appears from nowhere, his massive frame blocking the attack. "I don't think so, Chief," Mike says mildly. "This is a family event. Get your hands off me. I'm not touching you, but if you take another step toward Mr. Barrett, that's going to change." Jake looks around wildly, seeking support that isn't coming. His colleagues are reading the documents with growing horror. His clients are already heading for their cars. "This is slander," he shouts into the microphone. "These documents are fabricated." "Are they?" I ask calmly. "Then you won't mind if everyone takes copies to their accountants for verification." The crowd is already dispersing, people clutching their documents like evidence in a criminal trial. Some are making phone calls, probably to lawyers or journalists. Others are just fleeing, wanting to distance themselves from the scandal. Marta pushes through the crowd toward the stage, her face a mask of fury and desperation. "Miles, stop this, please." "Stop what? I'm just sharing information." "You're destroying everything I've worked for." "No, Marta. You destroyed everything you worked for when you decided to build your career on lies and adultery. That's not fair." "Fair?" I laugh, and the sound carries across the park like breaking glass. "You want to talk about fair? Was it fair when you started sleeping with your boss? Was it fair when you helped him steal credit from other employees? Was it fair when you decided our marriage was worth less than your career advancement?" She has no answer for that. Around us, the picnic is dissolving into chaos, families packing up and leaving, employees clustering in worried groups, clients making excuses and heading for the parking lot. "I loved you," Marta says, tears streaming down her face. Past tense. That's appropriate. Jake has finally broken free from Mike's supervision and approaches us with the desperate energy of a drowning man. "You have no idea what you've just done," he snarls. "I have a pretty good idea. I've ended your career, destroyed your reputation, and probably cost T-Bold about half their client base. I'll sue you for everything you have." "With what money? I doubt T-Bold's going to keep paying you after today's performance." "Richard." Vivian's voice cuts through the tension like a blade. She's been watching from the crowd, letting us handle the public destruction while she manages the aftermath. Jake turns toward his wife with something like hope in his eyes. "Vivian, thank God. Tell them these documents are fake." "I can't do that, Richard." "What?" "Because they're not fake. They're copies of files from your home office, the ones you thought I didn't know about." Jake's face goes through a series of expressions: confusion, betrayal, and finally, understanding. "You did this. You gave him those files." "I gave him the truth, something you seem to have forgotten how to handle." "You vindictive witch!" Big Mike's hand lands on Jake's shoulder with the weight of a falling tree. "I'm going to stop you right there, friend. This is still a family event." "Get your hands off me." "Can't do that. You're making threats against a lady, and my mama raised me better than that." Jake tries to shrug off Mike's grip and discovers that mountains don't move just because you push them. His face turns purple with rage and exertion. "Let me go!" "Sure thing." Mike releases him so suddenly that Jake stumbles backward, windmilling his arms for balance. "But maybe you should consider heading home before this gets any more embarrassing." Jake looks around the park, taking in the scattered crowd, the abandoned picnic tables, the clients and colleagues who are pretending not to know him. His kingdom is crumbling in real time, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. "This isn't over," he says one final time. "Yes, it is," Vivian replies calmly. "It's been over since the moment you decided to betray our marriage. You just didn't know it yet." Jake storms toward the parking lot, leaving Marta standing alone on the stage like an actress who's forgotten her lines. "Marta," I say gently, "you should probably go with him." "Where?" "Wherever people go when their lives fall apart. I wouldn't know. Mine's just getting started." She looks at me with something like recognition, as if she's finally seeing the man she married instead of the convenient husband she'd taken for granted. "I'm sorry," she whispers. "I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix anything." She nods and walks away, her shoulders shaking with suppressed sobs. I watch her go without feeling anything except mild curiosity about what she'll do next. "That was quite a performance," Vivian says, joining me on the now empty stage. "Think it worked?" Look around. The park is nearly deserted now. T-Bold's annual picnic has become T-Bold's annual disaster, the kind of story that will be told in business schools as an example of how quickly corporate reputations can collapse. What happens now? Now we wait for the fallout. Richard will be fired by Monday. Your wife will probably be blacklisted from the industry and will be free to build whatever comes next. Together? If you want, or separately, the choice is yours. I look out over the lake, watching sunlight dance on the water. 3 weeks ago, I was a different man living a different life. That man would be horrified by what I've become. But that man was weak. That man got betrayed. This man gets even. Together sounds good, I say. Vivian's hand slips into mine, and we stand on the empty stage like actors taking their bow after the final curtain. Around us, the debris of other people's lives blows in the afternoon breeze. "Your wife was amazing yesterday," I say suddenly. "What?" "That's what I'm going to tell Jake on Monday when I see him cleaning out his office." Vivian's laughter echoes across the lake, bright and sharp as breaking crystal. "Miles Barrett," she says, "I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship." But it's not friendship I see in her eyes. It's recognition. She's found her equal, her partner in the kind of game most people don't even know exists. And I've found my queen. Monday morning, I drive to T-Bold's office building and wait in the parking garage. Jake arrives at 8:30, looking like he hasn't slept in days. His usual confidence has been replaced by the hunted look of a man who knows his time is running out. I follow him into the elevator, noting how he flinches when he sees me. "Morning, Jake." "Barrett." He jabs the button for his floor like he's trying to crush it. "Rough weekend?" "What do you want?" "Just wanted to thank you for Friday night." "Friday night? Your wife was amazing yesterday." The words hit him like physical blows. His face goes white, then red, then white again. His hands shake as he processes the implications. "You son of a..." The elevator doors open, revealing a lobby full of T-Bold employees. Jake's curse dies in his throat as he realizes how many people are watching. "Have a great day," I tell him cheerfully, stepping out of the elevator. Behind me, I hear the doors close on Jake's trembling rage. Phase 3, complete. By noon, the story is all over the office. Jake Castellan, caught in an elevator with the husband of his alleged mistress, losing his composure in front of witnesses. The man who built his reputation on calm professionalism, reduced to stammering threats and public humiliation. By evening, he's cleaning out his desk. Marta comes home that night, looking like she's aged 10 years in 10 hours. "Jake's been fired," she announces. "I heard. Shame about that." They're reviewing my position too. Apparently my association with him has raised questions about my judgment. "I'm sure it will work out." "Will it, Miles? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've destroyed both our careers for the sake of petty revenge." "Petty revenge? I consider this. Is that what you call it when someone faces consequences for their actions? You've ruined everything." "No, Marta, you ruined everything. I just made sure everyone knew about it." She stares at me like I'm a stranger, and maybe I am. The man she married wouldn't have been capable of this level of calculated destruction. But that man is gone, replaced by someone harder and infinitely more dangerous. What happens now? Now you figure out what your life looks like without lies to hold it up. And us? There is no us. There hasn't been for months. She nods slowly, accepting what we both already knew. I'll start looking for an apartment. Take your time. I'm not in any hurry. After she goes upstairs, I pour myself a drink and step onto the back patio. The night is clear, stars visible despite the city lights. Somewhere out there, Jake is probably drinking himself into oblivion. Somewhere else, Vivian is planning our next move. My phone buzzes with a text. Dinner tomorrow? I have champagne. I text back, looking forward to it. And I am. For the first time in years, I'm looking forward to everything. The man I used to be would be ashamed of what I've become. But the man I used to be was a fool who believed in fairness and second chances. The man I am now knows better. The man I am now wins.